All right. The next film on our list.
This guy right here, man. Can you believe this guy?
We're going to 2007. Leave him behind. We're going to
All
2007.
right, 2007. Okay.
Wreck. Woo, Brian.
Woo! When the Spanish do, they got to do.
We are now heading into the found footage genre with arguably one of the redefining, if you will, films.
Redefine. I was gonna say, what about Blair Witch? You don't want to talk about that?
Well, I would say that's one of the pioneers. You know, I like Blair Witch. You know, I enjoy Blair Witch.
Yeah.
We had films like Blair Witch. Before that, we had Cannibal Holocaust. With this, we have the Spanish film directed by, I'm going to really butcher I'm not even going to say them, aside from Paco Plaza and Jaime Balaguero. I believe his name is. I'm sorry, guys. But
Guillermo del Toro just
shut up, Brian. You're such a racist.
I'm Spanish. No, I'm joking. No, man, I love Guillermo. He's my favorite.
We have Wreck. A Spanish horror film about a news crew with a news reporter. They're following these firefighters into a building where there's an emergency. And what happens is that an infection spreads within this building. And the building is quarantined. And the police are outside, the firefighters are outside, the press are outside, and they continue filming because people need to see what's going on, the horrors within the building. And what you see is that there's an infectious disease sprouted from this building that is slowly infecting every single person in the building. And it's terrifying in concept, it's terrifying in execution. Brian, when you first watched Wreck, I want to know how old you were and whether you could sleep later that night.
I actually watched Wrecked very recently. I turned 17. I was getting into like the whole. Well, I didn't turn 17. I was 17 at the time, and this was when, in my good old college days, I wanted to stay up late and watch horror films. So I watched Paranormal Activity. I watched Final Destination. And I watched Insidious, and then I watched Wreck with a bunch of my friends. Hey, between Insidious and Wreck, Wreck was the most scariest film I saw that night. But honestly, it was amazing because who would know that we would have quarantine just 2 years later, you know?
Oh, it was actually a year later.
Oh, a year later.
Quarantine came out a year later.
Yeah, Quarantine came out a year later. Yeah.
For those who don't know, this is the original film that spawned the American remake Quarantine from 2008. 2008.
2008, yeah.
Yeah.
Wreck's a great film. The ending's weird. Oh my God, I did not expect that. I thought this was just some random occurrence that like the dog just picked up, but no, it's like a test subject that I found. It was like, it kind of reminded you of like when you play Silent Hill. You think this is just some random occurrence, and then you find out like it's either a fault because of you or from someone that you know of, and now you have to either end yourself or end the person that you love. And I really enjoyed that.
I've actually heard that before when it comes to Wreck, that it's the best Silent Hill movie that's ever been made.
True.
This movie, I think, works heavily because of the fact that a lot of the actors and the extras did not know a lot of what would be happening in terms of the scenes. There's that scene where the tarp is going over the whole building. And you see outside, right before the tarp goes down, you see the police and all that. And the people inside are trying to get out. They're trying to bust their way out. But the tarp goes down, and those actors had no idea that was going to happen. Another really interesting aspect of the movie is that the main character, Manuela Velasco, that's the actress, she was an actual news reporter in Spain, which is, that's genius, and it's incredible that she could give that type of performance in the movie, but it adds to the realism of the film. It makes it feel more real.
I heard that they also used like real firemen, correct?
Yeah. They used real firemen. They had, I don't know if the tenants of the building were actual
tenants.
Yeah, actual tenants who were
I
just
think
told
that a couple of them were real tenants, but I do believe that the mom and the little girl and the old lady were actors.
They were actors.
Yeah.
But they were given very little information. They were just
Everyone was, yeah.
Look, this is what's going to happen in the scene. Improvise and be scared, And it came with incredible effect. You'd imagine that would be a disastrous way to make a film, but these two guys, they did it perfectly.
Oh yeah, amazingly.
I mean,
and then America was like, "Can we make this better?" Shot for shot.
You can't. Yeah, shot for shot.
No, you can't.
That's what the director of Parasite's talking about, man. You don't need these cynical remakes. You need the original content.
And and here's the thing: it's like I don't know why people always feel like watching a movie with subtitles is weird. I mean, except for French. No one wants to see any French movies. But
Heavy Rain.
French. That's what you see the example. I mean,
this is what happens.
I mean, if the writing can go better than Heavy Rain, then we'll accept them.
The origami killer.
The origami killer. Sean.
If he was a real origami killer, he would have folded his victims in the shapes of origami.
Oh, that would have been crazy if he took apart their bodies and then just folded their skin and stuff.
Right? Instead, he leaves these paper pieces of... Anyway, go ahead, Brian.
All right, but no, yeah, I hate that game so much, but I love it because it's so funny. But yeah, it's a great film. I saw Quarantine the very next week, and then I felt like, why did I watch this? This was exactly the same movie, but not done better.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But no, Rec is good, and then they made like a couple other ones which were kind of bad.
Yeah. Rec. Well, there was Rec 2, 3, 4. I actually heard that Rec 2 was pretty good because it's set right after.
No, yeah, it's actually set right after.
Right after.
Immediately.
Yeah, and it's about the police going in the building, and I have to watch that because that's a great concept, I think. Because
it kind of reminds me of like Raccoon City from Resident Evil. It's sort of right. Get to see the perspective of like the Umbrella Corp and like them having to deal with everything that they caused.
Rec 3, I heard, was not very good. It was actually part found footage, part real movie set at a wedding, and you're led to believe that it's set at the same time as the first Rec film. And I just heard that it was kind of campy and shit. I did not hear anything or watch Rec 4.
Me neither. I refused to. I heard it was garbage. No, I was going to say found footage film. And I was going to say, I think Rec really redefined found footage films. Because until then, at the time, I think we only had like Blair Witch Program and stuff like
we had aspects of found footage in other films where, you see like, the news reports and all that, within
But Rec was a true definition of like found footage. I really enjoyed it. It
was the best use of it.
It was the best use of it. Yeah, everything was constantly like it. And I think another film that kind of reminded me of that was like VHS. VHS is just a gruesome movie. There's no real plot. It's just people experiencing like the most
that's going to be that's on our list that we're going to talk about.
I'm so happy because I actually love that movie. I mean, there's no plot.
You want to join Angel and I in touching that?
I would love to join on it just for like a moment.
Because I'm very split on VHS. But
no, yeah.
So Rec, I think Rec is a secret influence on where found footage really went, especially in the 2010s. Exactly. Because obviously you got Quarantine, right? Because of Rec. And Quarantine, since it's an American remake, it's going to get more attention, within American audiences where, obviously the Spanish, they made a great film, but it's really underrated, only horror fans know much about Rec. The mainstream audience who goes to horror movies like during October, how many of them knew Rec as opposed to Quarantine, right?
Exactly.
And that's exactly why they make the remake. So Quarantine comes out, and it doesn't get the best reviews. It makes some money, but more movies start to come out after it. And then Paranormal Activity comes out, and I feel like that was really the one to really push the horror found footage genre. Sure, you had Quarantine and you had Wreck beforehand, and Wreck is the better film out of any of them. But when Paranormal Activity,
but that's the one that made audiences feel like, that they're, because it attacks a family,
Yeah, but I think it made the audiences who actually went to see the movie feel that way, and then it just gets tarnished because of Quarantine. Like who's gonna Quarantine? Like, there's an original. Well, why would I want to watch that? Especially since it's shot for shot. How do you make something less scary when it's shot for shot?
Yeah.
How, Brian?
I don't know how. I don't know how you can. It baffles me. Wreck is amazing. It's such a great film. The aspect of the government just like cutting these people off is like crazy. I love it. I love the part when they're trying to like figure out like what's going on, and they finally figure out, and then at the slightest scent of hope, then they get attacked, and then the person who was supposed to help them just instantly is killed.
Yeah. Oh, and also it gets over the problem that a lot of found footage horror films have, where it's like, why would you keep holding the camera? It makes complete sense why these people would keep holding the camera. They need the story. They need to show people what's going on within the building. They're news reporters. It works for the story. It actually drives the story till the very end. Whereas, like if like in those Paranormal Activity movies, like what? What?
Yeah, and they're like, there's a ghost. Let me just take out my beautiful my digital age camera out here.
Shoot in 4K, homie. Sell it on the. Got a table.
There's a lot of great found footage horror films. The After Wreck. And
thank you for leading us to the movie question, Brian.
Of course, yes, the movie question.
I don't want us to delve into cynicism too much, Brian. I want us to talk.
I will know the meaning, but okay.
Well, I love talking about movies, especially the movies we love. So, Brian, since Wreck, what are some of your favorite horror films that were found footage?
Would you like me to go order in top 5?
I didn't even know you had 5. Let's hear it.
Blair Witch Project.
Okay. Yes.
Wreck, VHS, The Tunnel, and what was the last one again? It was and then Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
I prefer Insidious over Paranormal Activity because here's the thing, it deals with something that I actually went through in my life, and I like that.
Insidious?
It's so wild.
Or what? Paranormal Activity? Which one?
Insidious. Insidious.
Well, is that about possession?
Astral projection.
Oh, astral projection. Okay.
It's when you. No. It's when your spirit leaves your body and you see like future events play out in your life and stuff. So I used to have that when I was a little kid, where I would like sort of see myself sleeping in like a very blue vision.
So you knew COVID was going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
You knew COVID was going to happen. That's why you got your food in order before.
That's why I got my food.
Brian was bragging. Everybody, Brian was bragging at the very beginning of this quarantine atmosphere that we're all in, telling me that, I got my food and water in the basement. Know why? Because I could see myself. I could see the future. That's so Raven 2020.
That's
so Brian.
Actually, real quick, sidebar, I just want to say this was a real scary moment in my life because it was a mad deja vu moment.
Yeah, because you saw 2020. This is horrific.
One time I woke up and I got ready for my school at elementary. And at the elementary that's nearby here, right?
Right.
So I went and I had dreamed that I was sitting in the car with my mom and we went to the same stoplight, and then immediately when I got off the car to go into my class, my mom had told me, "Brian, you forgot something." And I turned around and I woke up, and I lived through the same exact moment, and I did everything the same exact way. I sat in the same exact order. We went to the same street light. We took the same left. We took the same right. I got out of the car in the same way, and my mom asked me the same thing, that I forgot about something, and it freaked me out so much.
Damn, Brian, you're clairvoyant. It's hurting me.
I know. So that was the movie question, and then we branched out a little. But
one thing I got to mention in terms of horror movies that I think utilize, or not even just horror movies, because found footage kind of grew a little bit past it. Movies that I think utilized the found footage aspect pretty well were Cloverfield.
Oh,
I do like that
I
movie.
Totally forgot about that movie. That movie's amazing. Because, is that a horror movie, or is that more or less like a sci-fi film?
No, I think it's more horror.
Okay, then I guess that's my number. That's my number one film then.
Yeah, I love Cloverfield. I can watch it anytime. I think that it uses it pretty well, and it skims a little bit as to why they would keep on, filming. It's on that thin line, but I can buy it, and it's actually directed by Matt Reeves, who's doing the Batman.
Oh yeah.
But
not about the Korea Let Me Be Funny.
No, he's not doing that.
I know. We're going to confirm it. I know you're doing that. I can't wait to release it on the same exact day of Robert Pattinson.
Right. Also, Chronicle, I thought, was a good use of it, where it's about these characters, these teenage guys who gain superpowers from a crashed meteorite, and one of them is kind of weird. He's like an outsider who films everything.
Yeah.
And they use the camera actually really well because the characters have telekinesis, so you can get really diverse angles. So
I love the trade-off of the camera angle when they go to the whole news thing at the very end of that movie, where it shows where one of the kids is just gone mad with power, and then it just shows an out. I like that, that was a really good a transition,
Those are some good.
It feels
ones.
Natural.
Yeah. It is natural. Yeah, I think that's all I have to bring up when it comes to that.
Cool.
How about you, Brian?
No, yeah, definitely. I've seen just a couple found footage films, but yeah, I love the Blair Witch Project. I saw a really cool video saying how maybe the witch isn't real, and that in fact the boys are the people who killed the girl. Because there's this whole theory that in reality it's just about a messy breakup, and that one of the boys actually killed her and stuff. And I actually prefer that over some spiritual witch, because I feel that brings a sense of Jeffrey Dahmer or Zodiac.
But then that's just not the case now, because they had that sequel.
Yeah, they had the sequel where it's the natural witch,
where they have a witch. Here.
The GOAT Podcast is proof you don't have to look any further for movie news, reviews, trailer reactions, or special discussions. Subscribe, get notified about what's going on, and I promise you'll be entertained by our daily content on YouTube. If you want more, we're on Twitter at GOAT Film Podcast, Instagram The GOAT Podcast, and the GOAT Movie Group on Facebook. Get connected with us, see what's happening, and make sure to love it while you're doing so.